Money FM 89.3. Best of breakfast. The bigger picture, only on Money FM 89.3.
Thanks for joining us on Money FM 89.3. So we are looking at consumers cutting back. Not a big surprise considering the uncertainty surrounding US tariffs. That in turn, of course, weighs on business sentiment, and the economic projections for 2025 may lead to more cautious investor sentiment as well in Asia. Just looking at Asia's venture market, it has just posted its lowest performance since 2014, with total funding dropping to $65.8 billion last year. And that was dragged down by a 32% plunge in China and a 39% drop in Singapore. So lots of uncertainty in the air. What should investors and businesses be doing to manage what's going on? Helping us out this morning is Carolyn Dawson. She is the CEO of Founders Forum Group. Carolyn, good morning. Thanks for joining us today. How are you doing?
No, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, great having you on because you've got a close reading of what's going on with the pulse of the ecosystem. So let's start there. How bad is it right now when we talk about the slowdown? What's going on? How is it manifesting in the ecosystem?
There's a real sense of founders having to reassess everything, especially with, as you mentioned, the kind of consumption downgrade. So founders are looking at how they price their products to how they go to market. There's a real sense of instead of chasing vanity metrics, the focus has to be shifting towards retention, customer value, operational efficiencies in their businesses. In sectors like e-commerce and fintech, startups are increasingly offering tiered pricing, looking at value-added services or more personalized offerings to meet the needs for some of these price-sensitive consumers now. And that's a shift that we're seeing globally. Pressure can be also, though, on the flip side, a powerful driver of innovation. And so what we're seeing, founders are a very resilient group, and many founders are looking into ways to find, how can they do more with less?
Yeah, so that's a good overview of how things are shaping up right now. So when you talk about adjusting to the new consumer behavior, what are we looking at? Are we looking at lower prices, longer contracts? How have they manifested in some of the examples you've observed?
Yeah, so we've seen examples from e-commerce players like Carousel and Shopback, both, connected to the Founders Forum Asia ecosystem, and they've leaned into cashback features, merchant partnerships, pricing transparency to build loyalty and stay competitive. In this more price-sensitive environment, I think you're also seeing companies are just shifting away from subsidized growth, and they're doubling down on sustainable models. Profit growth in the region is still pacing well. I think there's a clear sign that the market is rewarding operational discipline. And it's important to know that, the Southeast Asia tech startup ecosystem has still, more than tripled in value in the past 5 years. And we just heard it on stage this morning. This is still an emerging ecosystem with lots of opportunity and reasons to be optimistic ahead.
Does this put pressure on the investment side of things as well? Because I would imagine folks will be more impatient to see returns. Is that what's playing out right now? The timeline for the road to profitability, is that starting to get shorter?
Yeah, I think there's no doubt there is that sort of pressure now, or the focus to profitability is definitely key. I mean, the Southeast Asia tech startup ecosystem in the first half of last year was valued at $454 billion. And Singapore's leading the way in that charge. But investor priorities have definitely shifted sharply. That profitability, cost efficiency, regulatory alignment, they're now key investment filters, especially in the light of this macro volatility we're discussing. And, of course, the more cautious consumer spending across the region. But there's lots of excitement, particularly around AI and AI-led startups, particularly across China. But we're seeing that in Singapore and Malaysia as well. Yes, I think luxury and discretionary consumer tech are seeing a pullback, but there's lots of opportunity.
Yeah, with disruptions, we typically see a change in business models, and that might come with job cuts as well. Is that something you're seeing right now? Efficiency drive that startups normally go for when they try to right-size their business?
There's definitely an aspect of assessment of how they can build more operational efficiencies with tools like AI. But we generally also see that as being in partnership with their employees. How do we actually reskill employees to be able to utilize AI tools to just drive more efficiency within existing roles? there's no doubt that there's certain functions that there will see a drop in demand of requirements of roles or that operational efficiency as we sort of look towards the drive to profitability. But lots of opportunity for reskilling employees and actually building more creativity into their business plans and new product innovation.
All right, talking about innovation, what's catching investors' eyes these days? What sort of sectors are getting the most attention when it comes to funding? Where are people most interested in right now?
Yes, I think Singapore particularly still remains one of the most startup-friendly markets in Asia. And we're seeing particularly government backing of AI and quantum computing, along with national strategy supporting circular economy and solar tech. This is really, I think there's a deep focus and excitement around the deep tech and climate innovation spaces.
All right, and just looking into your crystal ball, where do things go from here? Because we've got tariffs, global trade wars, tensions still playing out. Is that going to dampen valuations?
There is an amazing pool of talent in this region and amazing opportunities for innovation from that talent pool to building really good companies. There's also lots of opportunities of coming out of just being focused on LLMs to actually look at the real deployment and implementation of AI and the adjacencies of those markets. So lots of reasons to be hopeful, but no doubt also a sense of realism. I think what we really counsel is the leadership of today and the founders of today need to have that drive to not only resilience, which is very much embedded in their mindsets, but that ability to adapt and to cope with the ever-shifting geopolitical times that we're in.
So we've been in conversation with Carolyn Dawson. She is the CEO of Founders Forum Group. Carolyn, thanks for your time and insights this morning.
Thank you.
Please consider if it's suitable for your own investment objectives, financial situation, and risk tolerance. To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.